Nuclear power doesn't give only good benefits. These are the pros and cons of using nuclear power. Pro low carbon, unlike traditional fossil fuels like coal, nuclear power does not produce greenhouse gas emissions like methane and CO2. Nuclear advocacy group, the World Nuclear Association, found that the average emissions for nuclear are 29 tons of CO2 per gigawatt hour of energy produces. This compares favorably with renewable sources like solar and wind, and even more favorably with fossil fuels like lignite and coal. Nuclear produces roughly the same or less emissions as renewable sources, so could be considered an environmentally friendly source of energy. Con. If it goes wrong, anti-nuclear campaigners will cite the three major nuclear meltdowns of recent times: Three Mile Island in 1978, Chernobyl in 1986, and most recently Fukushima in 2011. Despite all the safety measures in place these nuclear plants, different factors caused them to go into meltdown, which was devastating for the environment and for local inhabitants who had to flee the affected areas. The official immediate death toll for Chernobyl was reported as 54 people, although this is consistently disputed, and the International Atomic Energy Agency established a figure of 4,000 projected deaths in the longer term. Is the potential of nuclear power worth the risk of powerful radiation leaks, mass evacuations, and billions spent in repairs? Pro. Cheap to run nuclear power plants are cheaper to run than their coal or gas rivals. It has been estimated that even factoring in costs such as managing radioactive fuel and disposal nuclear plants cost between 33 to 50% of coal plant and 20 to 25% of a gas combined cycle plant. The amount of energy produced is also superior to most other forms. The U.S. Department of Energy estimates that to replace a 1 GW nuclear power plant would require 2 GW of coal or 3 GW to 4 GW from renewable sources to generate the same amount of electricity. Con. Expensive to build. The initial costs for building a nuclear power plant are steep. A recent virtual test reactor in the US estimate rose from $3 to $5 billion to $6 billion, alongside huge extra costs to maintain the facility. South Africa scraped plans to add 9.6 gigawatts of nuclear power to its energy mix due to the cost, which was estimated anywhere between 34 to 84 billion. So whilst nuclear plants are cheap to run and produce inexpensive fuel, the initial costs are off-putting.
Nuclear energy produces radioactive waste. A major environmental concern related to nuclear power is the creation of radioactive waste, such as uranium mill tailings, spent used reactor fuel, and other radioactive wastes. These materials can remain radioactive and dangerous to human health for thousands of years. Radioactive wastes are subject to special regulation that govern their handling, transportation, storage, and disposal to protect human health in the environment. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or NRC, regulates the operation of nuclear power plants. Radioactive wastes are classified as low-level waste or high-level waste. The radioactivity of these wastes can range from a little higher than natural background levels, such as for uranium mill tailings, to the much higher radioactivity of use. Spent reactor fuel and parts of nuclear reactors. The radioactivity of nuclear waste decreases over time through a process called radioactive decay. The amount of time it takes for the radioactivity of radioactive material to decrease to half its original level, is called the radioactive half-life. Radioactive waste with a short half-life is often stored temporarily before disposal to reduce potential radiation doses to workers who handle and transport the waste. The storage system also reduces the radiation levels at disposal sites.
Nuclear power reactors do not produce direct carbon dioxide emission. Unlike fossil fuel-fired power plants, nuclear reactors do not produce air pollution or carbon dioxide while operating. However, the processes of mining and refining uranium ore and making reactor fuel all require a large amount of energy. Nuclear power plants also have large amount of metal and concrete, which requires large amount of energy to manufacture. If fossil fuels are used for mining and refining uranium ore, or if fuels are used when constructing the nuclear power plant, then the emission from burning those fuels could be associated with the electricity that nuclear power plants generate. Fossil fuels are the dirtiest and the most dangerous energy resources, while nuclear and modern renewable energy resources are vastly safer and cleaner. Nuclear is a zero-emission clean energy source. It generates power through fission, which is the process of splitting uranium atoms to produce energy. The heat released by fission is used to create steam that spins a turbine to generate electricity without the harmful byproducts emitted by fossil fuels.